Hey book friends, welcome to today's Friday Reads video. You know how much I love Friday Reads videos. I love to chat about what I have finished reading, what I'm currently reading, as well as what I'm thinking about reading next. And in today's video I have a little extra too, because I will be picking the winner for the giveaway that I am running on my channel now because I'm celebrating 1,000 subscribers. I will link the video above, but I will be running that giveaway and I'll probably run that after my Friday Reads. And if you are just really interested in the giveaway, I will put timestamps down below so you can hop to that section of the video. But I wanted to talk about books first. I have been missing making Friday Reads videos, so I'm so excited to share with you my reading life, what's going on currently. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, or welcome back if you've been coming for a while. Like I said, this is a Friday Reads video. I want to talk about the book I finished. So like I said, I took a bit of a break. So there's going to be a number of books I'm not talking about on this channel because I just wasn't making videos, but I did just finish another Agatha Christie book and I'm so excited to talk about it. So this is The Murder at the Vicarage, and this is her first Miss Marple book. And I really wanted to kind of meet the Miss Marple character, and so I was jazzed to pick this up. And I loved Miss Marple. I thought she was really fun. I mean, I really enjoy Poirot, her other detective, but he's totally different than Miss Marple. But I would say Miss Marple has just a really fun old lady flair to her, like where she's just really smart and you can tell she's kind of a busybody. Like she spies on people and she's interested in what's going on in everybody's life, but she's also really thoughtful and thinks about like human nature and human condition and how people are making decisions. And so she's just really observant. And honestly, I just wish I was as observant as Miss Marple. But to get into what this book is about, it is about this small town. I love that about Agatha Christie books. They're usually kind of small towns. And there's this man, the vicar, who runs the church. And at the beginning of the book, he makes a statement saying like, oh, our town would be better off if this man died. And then the man dies, right? You know, you could see that coming because it's an Agatha Christie book. And then it comes down to who did it. And again, I think Agatha Christie books are so clever. Like, I really enjoy figuring out the different characters. I think it's also really fun to read her books because it feels like a blast from the past. You have all these housewives and you have all these people just living life in community. Like, they visit each other a lot. They're really in each other's lives, and it's just so different than current day. So I really do enjoy that about Agatha Christie books. It's just kind of a side note for me personally, but I love the fact that I feel like I could figure it out. I didn't. I, again, did not figure out who it was. It was pretty clever come the end, and I loved how Miss Marple was able to pick up those few clues that were there. Like when she explains it at the end, you're just like, oh, I remember reading that, but I didn't pay enough attention to that. But I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed Miss Marple's character. Like I said, I think I might like her better than Poirot, but I need to give her a couple more books before I say that officially, that I like Miss Marple better. But I enjoyed it. It was a really fun Agatha Christie book. So that's the only book I've really finished lately. I am in the middle of a number of books, which is probably the problem. I'm having a tough time kind of settling into a book, except for this one. So I just recently picked this up and I'm flying through it because, well, it's Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, which is well loved here on BookTube. A lot of people have read it. I mean, I don't even know when it came out, like 2016 or something like that. It's not a new book, but it is a really fun thriller book about this man who kind of gets kidnapped or something at the beginning and then wakes up in a different life. I don't want to say too much because I feel like the complexity of this book is what makes it fun. I feel like the confusion of this book is what I'm really liking. But I can say as much as like he wakes up in a different life and then he has to kind of figure out what's going on. And in him figuring out what's going on, it's really fun. It reminds me of a movie. It reminds me of the movie with Matthew McConaughey, not Inception. Interstellar, I think that's what it's called, Interstellar. You have a lot of physics, a lot of like quantum physics, which isn't my jam. I don't really understand that kind of stuff very well, but I think it's really interesting. And I think the way Blake Crouch utilizes it is understandable enough to follow kind of the plot. He's able to build a very intriguing plot. Like, I really want to know what exactly is going on with the main character, and I'm following it, but I feel like I'm missing some big stuff, which I always like in books. I like where suddenly in this scene, like, something happens and you're like, that didn't make any sense. And the characters kind of brush it off, and then you're like, we're going to come back to that. Like, we're going to come back to that, and it's going to be like, oh, that's going to explain the piece of the puzzle that I'm not understanding. Or at least that's my thoughts, because I'm following it fairly well, but it is confusing and intriguing. So I'm really happy. I'm actually like 3/4 of the way through, so I'll probably finish it tonight. It's going really fast, and I'm loving that. I'm loving that I am into a book that I really want to pick up, because I've just been picking up books, starting them and putting them down, and not quite feeling invested in any book. So I thought, usually when that happens, I have to pick up a thriller. So I picked up a thriller, and it's really good, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm in the middle of Dark Matter. As for the other books I'm in the middle of, so I will put it up here because I am trying to listen to this, and this is probably the problem. And so I'm listening to Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. Now, this is the first book in her Mad Ship trilogy, I think is what they're called. So it is the second series after the Fit series, after the Farseer series that I just loved by Robin Hobb. And I've heard this next series takes a completely different shift. We're not following Fits anymore, but a lot of people really like this series. And so I'm really interested in it. It has something to do with ships that come alive, based on something where it's in the family for certain generations. I'm actually not sure. I'm only like 2 or 3 chapters into it. And like I said, I'm listening to it, and that is 100% my problem. I'm having a tough time keeping it straight, keeping the different characters straight, because there's also this pirate, which is fun. I like pirates, and he seems like he's going to be a fun character, but I'm just not catching everything, is how it feels when I listen to it. I just know that about myself. There's certain books I cannot listen to. I can listen to thrillers, actually, and I really should try and find all my thrillers on audiobook, because those just seem very straightforward. Fantasy is tougher on audiobook, and I even think historical fiction can be tougher on audiobook. And mysteries, like Agatha Christie, I can't read on audiobook until I'm like halfway through. Anyway, I digress. So I'm reading Ship of Magic, but I'm not really getting into it yet. And I did order a bunch of books, which you'll see in my next book haul, because I loved the Farseer trilogy. I'm like, Robin Hobb is an author for me. I need to read everything she's written. So I did go a little crazy. But it's my birthday month, and it'll be fine. So anyway, I'm reading that, but I'm not loving it. And I think I might just switch to physical when I get it. And I'm also still reading this book. And I actually looked back, and I was talking about this book in my last Friday Reads in May. And so I pretty much put it down after that, and I've been trying to pick it back up. And it is not the fault of the book, because it's a really interesting book, and it's really well written, and I'm enjoying the author's writing style. It's different and more detailed, more maybe like flowery. I don't know if that's the right word, but more poetic than some of the other historical fiction books I have read. And so it just takes a little bit more to get through. It's not as straightforward. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but this is a book about the Spanish Civil War and this pregnant woman who is trying to escape because her family has ties to kind of the wrong side. I think the side that is against Franco, and Franco's doing some terrible things to like exterminate and get rid of that group of people, and so they like have to escape into, might be France, I can't quite remember, and then she boards a ship. And I'm not to the point where she boards a ship yet and goes to Chile, I believe, and then the story goes from there. But I have gotten to the point where they're like going over the mountains, and I am struck by this book in a number of different ways. One, it doesn't pull punches on description of how terrible that time frame was. Like, I have read Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys, but that's a YA. Ruta Sepetys is more of a YA writer, and I realize the difference now, because this book goes into detail, more detail about the atrocities that Franco was bringing about, how he was treating people and how he was killing people and how fearful people were and they couldn't get out. And then there was these refugee camps in the countries around Spain that were awful and treating the refugees terribly. And it's kind of a heart impactful book. And maybe that's why I ended up putting it down, because there was just some heavy feelings associated. But that to me is a good thing in a historical fiction book. That means that I'm invested. That means that the writer is doing a good job describing the story. And I just think I, again, am in a season where I'm struggling a bit with big feelings, especially when it comes to like real life stuff as opposed to like fantasy books. So I'm still in the middle of reading this and I want to finish. I am like 100 pages in. Yeah, I'm 100 pages in. I'm not going to DNF it. I didn't put it aside because I intend to DNF it. I just couldn't read it, if that makes sense. And so another book I picked up briefly, but I'm not sure if I'm going to pick it up right now, is this book. So this is The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. And I got this recommendation from Angela over at Literature Science Alliance. She's kind of my fantasy person. I like to follow her channel and get good recommendations from her. But this is a big fantasy book about this girl who is like an orphan, a thief, and I think she's trying to like rescue her sister or something to that notion. And so she has to enter into the society and like trick people and like masquerade sort of idea. But I don't understand what's going on. I started it and I think I am 20 pages into this gigantic book, which is 600 pages. And so I have a lot to go on this. It is due back to the library, which I'm really bummed about that it took me so long to pick it up that now it's due back. So I'll have to get it back from the library. But I still want to pick it up. It hasn't drawn me in quite yet, but I haven't really given it a chance. And so I'm going to put that one down because I have to return it. But hopefully I can pick it back up soon. And so those are the books I'm kind of currently reading. Like I said, I feel a little flighty, to be honest. I feel like I can't quite settle on a book. Do you guys ever feel that way? Like where it's like, just not sure what I'm even looking for, to be honest. So those are the books I'm reading, but I do have some books that I want to read. So let me show you what I have on my list for reading next. I'll start with the new Riley Sager. So I got this from Book of the Month. I love Book of the Month. I often skip months. I've been skipping a lot of months lately, but I keep it solely for stuff like this so I can get the hard copy of the new Riley Sager book as well as the new Blake Crouch book. So I love Book of the Month. But anyway, this is the new Riley Sager book. It's called The House Across the Lake. And this is about, like, I believe, like a famous actress who is going through hard times. And so she goes to her family's lake house by herself and she starts spying on the neighbors. So it's giving me The Woman in the Window vibes, or at least the description is giving me that kind of a vibe. So she's spying on the neighbors across the lake and they're like famous also in a big lake house. And she slowly gets to know them because for some reason I think she like rescues the wife from drowning and they start a friendship. And then she starts to learn that maybe their marriage isn't so good. And so that sounds like a standard kind of domestic thriller sort of synopsis. But the fact that it's Riley Sager, he doesn't usually write that kind of a book. And so I'm interested to see where he takes this. And I've read every other Riley Sager, so why would I not read it? So that's on my list. And the other one that's on my list is kind of inspired by, what's it called? Jane Austen, July. But I have this book on my shelves. And this book was on a list of mine because it's April from Getting Hookah with his favorite book from last year. And I made a video about reading my favorite booktubers' favorite books. And this was that. And so I was waiting for July to read it. It's called The Other Bennett Sister by Janice Hadlow. This looks so good. It sounds so good. It's basically about the middle Bennett sister named Mary. And so they have all those other sisters, Elizabeth Bennet, and all of those that are the kind of like Pride and Prejudice stars and all that. And then you have Mary, who's more kind of a quiet, shy, reads a lot of books sort of character. And she doesn't get highlighted a lot in Pride and Prejudice. But in this book, it's all about Mary. It's about her kind of finding her life. It's about her trying to decide if she wants to be a wife and mother. And I believe she chooses to go into the city as opposed to like her sisters who are like marrying gentlemen on these big plots of land sort of idea. And so she goes into the city and starts her life. And I love that idea. I love rooting kind of for the underdog. It feels like an underdog story. I don't know if that's true or not, but I love kind of when stories focus on the one that isn't so popular. And in Pride and Prejudice, it is definitely Mary Bennet. So I'm excited to get to a book solely about her. So those are the two books that are on my radar for reading next. Let me know what you guys think. Have you read either of those books? Have you read the new Riley Sager book? Let me know if you have. But that concludes my Friday reads. Like I said, I want to do the giveaways. So I'm going to pull up a random comment generator and I'll screen record it on my phone and then I'll pop it up here. So let me set that up. Okay, so I popped it up and I will pick the winner now. All right, Caitlin G family gets the inheritance games. Caitlin, I'll be reaching out to you in the comments and I will be sending you your new book. So congratulations to you. And thank you all for taking the time to enter and support my channel and encourage me. I really loved reading through all the comments you guys left. So that is what I have for this Friday Reads video. And I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know down below any thoughts you have on any of the books I'm reading or have finished. And especially let me know which book you think I should start next. The Riley Sager or the Jane Austen book. Otherwise, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to. And I will see you guys in the next book video. Okay guys, take care.